Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie, and I'm on the avatar tonight because just tired. That's also I just couldn't be putting on my makeup and doing my hair and everything. So sorry about that. I'm on the avatar, but anyway, it doesn't matter because we'll be watching a video, so you won't want to be looking at me. What we're going to do tonight is we're looking at the Samantha Murphy case, the lady who's gone missing in Australia, and there was a documentary on one of the news channels, and I've recorded it. I'm going to try and watch it with you. Now, some of you that are in Australia, which is good morning to those in Australia, some of you may have seen it already. But I expect that a lot of you that are in the UK or other countries won't have seen it. But I thought it'd be nice for us to watch it together and see what, if anything, came out of it. Is there anything new has come out of it? I think it was interesting just for some, different views, insights of things that we already know. But for those of you who don't know about the case, because I've always have to be mindful that there are new subscribers all the time, new people watching. Some people may not know much about the case. But Samantha was a lady who went missing when she went out jogging a couple of weeks ago. Now, to that end, because of the fact that I know that a lot of people maybe don't know this story, maybe don't know other stories that I've covered on my channel, first, the thing I want to do is just show you my channel, which, of course, you all know. If you're on here, you'll know something about my channel. But I just wanted to show it you so that you can see, because there's quite a lot of, videos on there now. So I want people to know that even if they miss a live video, they can still watch it later. Anyway, so let's have a look. So this is my channel, Vicky Marie Chats. Got quite a lot of subscribers now. Thank you very much, any of you that have subscribed. If you're not subscribed and you enjoy my video, please think about subscribing. It's free. And so I've got 724 videos on there. So if you've ever got a boring day, you want to fill with some true crime or whatever, then there's plenty of videos on there to watch. So you can see there's a lot of video, and they're about all sorts of different things. Now, I wanted to show, these are the playlists. So for example, if you wanted to know more about the Samantha Murphy case, you go into the playlist, the Samantha Murphy playlist, and every video that I've done about Samantha Murphy will be on there. The same thing about Nicola Bulley, the College of Policing reports. There's some videos on Summer Wells. There's general videos on true crime. Now, this particular video, Confessions of a Spanish Teacher, this is my book that tells you a little bit about me. And I serialized it and I read the book out. The whole book is there, 22 videos, 22 chapters. Now, for those of you that are members, there's quite a lot of members videos. There's a book that I'm writing, which I need to get on with. I haven't written a chapter for a while, but there's a book that I'm serializing for my members. Please subscribe to Murder. There's a playlist about DNA cases, a playlist about Rachel Marin. There's some tarot card readings. There's a little bit of everything. Oh, and when I went to Pride de Luche, there's a playlist when I went to Pride de Luche to look into Madeleine McCann when I went on location. And remember, I will be going on location soon, and my members will be the first to know where I'm going. There's the Scottish murders, there's the Peter Folding question and answer session. So there's lots of different playlists with lots of different videos to watch. Now, talking of members, every Thursday night, I want to thank all the people. There's quite a few members on the chat. There always is. Thank you very much for being members. For those that membership is one. I don't know if it works out £1.99 or €1.99. It's probably slightly different whichever country you're in, but it's £1.99 a month. It's cancelable every time, so there's no minimum subscription to the membership. You can join it for a month for £1.99, and if you don't like it, you can cancel it. And every Thursday night is the members only live, which is, so tomorrow night we'll be doing a members only live, and we do things that, so tomorrow night I'm going to be showing the video that I made of what I dreamt about Samantha Murphy, and also I'm going to be talking about some like conspiracy theories, not about Samantha's case necessarily, but mainly around Nicola Bulley's case. Do we believe in conspiracy theories? You know, there's a lot of people that do, and I'm sort of on the fence a little bit about it. I do think there's something strange about the Nicola Bulley case. But what, I don't know. You know, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about a few things. We like to talk on members about things, I don't know, just a little bit different from what I talk about on the normal channel. So if you did want to join in that, you can go onto the YouTube channel. You just click into membership. I'm a member. I've been a member for 9 months. And the reason I joined is so I can see it from a member's point of view. That's how it started off. And yeah, you'll find on there all the different videos, all the members only videos that you can watch that aren't available on the normal channel. Okay, so I just wanted to show you that before we start, because I never really show that. It's just sometimes as well, I think people don't realise that if you miss a live, you know, you can go onto the channel, go into the live videos, and all those lives that you may have missed at the time it was live, you can watch them afterwards. You can catch up on them. I think some people don't think that they can, don't realise that they can. They think if they don't catch it in the moment, they can't watch it. But no, that's not true. They're still there on the channel for you to watch at your leisure. Obviously, it's more fun if you can catch the live, because you get a chance to chat with the other people then. But, you know, you can still watch it. Okay, so I just wanted to show you all that. So what we're going to do tonight then is try and watch this video. When I say try, because we did try, do you remember when we tried to watch the Nicola Bulley video, the Nicola Bulley documentary, and it kept stopping me for copyright, and then it banned me from showing it in Britain, but allowed me to show it in any other country, which was really odd, I think. So what I've done now, bearing in mind that this documentary is Australian, so I recorded it on the Australian VPN, but I've now gone back to the Spanish VPN, you know, because I'm thinking, well, maybe it'll work out the same way. You're not allowed to show it in Australia. So if I come off the Australian VPN, now it knows I'm in Spain. I may be okay to show it in Spain. Do you know what? I mean, I've recorded it, I've edited it, I've taken out the adverts, etc. Whether, you know, whether it's going to pull me up for copyright. So if the stream suddenly halts, because that's what tends to happen when you sort of try and show something, and if it picks up any copyright issue, it halts the stream. If that keeps happening like it did with the Nicola Bulley case, I will have to sort of give up and try and get around it a different way. Anyway, so first thing I'm going to do now is say hello to everybody. Thank you all for being here as usual. Rio, hi Rio. So Rio's working. Oh, but she's going to try and have a little peek. She always tries to pop out of work and have a look what's going on. But she'll be on members tomorrow. So Rio is a member. Okay, Rio, we'll see you tomorrow. Hi, Kelly, and Kelly is in Australia. Hi, good morning, and the same to Alana, who's they're all grabbing coffee because it's morning time. Hi, David. Hi, Susan. Hi, Mara. Hi, Heather. It's funny because I'm smiling at the camera. You know, when I'm on the avatar, I forget that I'm not on the camera. I'm looking at the camera and smiling, and of course, you can't see me anyway. But never mind. You can imagine me smiling. You can imagine me smiling and looking at the camera. Hi, David. Thank you. Yes, well, I try and keep the membership to a reasonable level, you know, so that it's accessible to anyone. It, you know, and I think that's the reason why I've got so many members, because you know, obviously you can set your membership to whatever price you like, but for me, I want people to be members. You know, I like to, because the membership builds a community. There's something special about the members' lives on a Thursday, isn't there? They feel different, you know, because like-minded people, you know. I'm not saying it isn't on a normal life, I'm not criticizing anybody, but do you know, there's something about the members' lives that I always look forward to it, and I think the members look forward to it. It really does feel like a community, you know, so it's nice. So Heather, yeah, conspiracy theories around the royal family. It's all very odd about the royal family, isn't it? Because you've got Kate still poorly, and then what's his name, her husband, you know, I'm not a lover of the royal family, as you know, but he pulled out of an engagement, didn't he? There's like lots of things going on, and of course Charlie boy, he's not well, and now one of them has died, haven't they? One of the sort of peripheral royal family are young, you know, he's quite a young guy. I don't know what he's died of, but you know, so yeah, you know, at the end of the day, the more I've started to do like true crime and look into news and things, you realize that you really don't get to know much, really. You get to know what the mainstream media wants to tell you, and that is not always necessarily what's really happening. Now, we saw that with the Nicola Bulley documentary, because if you've been following like the Nicola Bulley case, watching that documentary, just skimmed over the edges, and some things weren't even actually really true. So, you know, at the end of the day, the mainstream media, it tells you what it wants, takes its narrative, and you have to decide, do you believe it or not? They give you knowledge, they withhold knowledge, but you never really know what's going on. You don't. And I think I've noticed that particularly in living in Spain, because in Spain you get different news from what you get in the UK, and it's probably the same in Australia or other countries. You know, you get different news, and you get news from a different perspective. And you can imagine in China, they'll get completely different news. In Russia, they'll get different news. And, you know, although we want to believe our news, but how do we know our news is the true news? Maybe the Russian news is the true news. You know, we just don't know, is what I'm saying. You literally don't know. And I think years ago we had a lot better investigative journalists than we do now, because you can't trust the journalists now either, because they, you know, there's nobody really, what's the word? Well, except on social media. That's why people are turning to YouTube and social media, because they feel like they get a bit more honesty there, or a bit more, not like what people want you to know. You know, to me, I just say things as I see them, and people will either like them or not. People will either like what I say or not. I know some people agree with me on things, but they won't agree with me on everything, because that's impossible. You know, to me, my channel, Vicky Marie Chats, that's exactly what it is. It's like we're sat chatting somewhere in the pub or whatever, having a chat. Well, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? You know, and I like to think that, back it up with facts as well as I can. But we do also muse over things. We do, you know, just like you would, as I say, if you were sat in the pub chatting to your mates, you would sort of say, oh, do you think it might be this? Or do you think it, you know, that's the point of this channel. My channel is Vicky Marie Chats. It's not, you know, that's what it's about. and we've all got views, we've all got, and we don't fall out over them. And if you're here and you can't accept other people's views, then really you're not on the right channel, because you do get that, obviously, as you know, do get that sometimes. And most of the time we either agree or we agree to differ, don't we? We don't get much, we don't get many trolls on here, to be honest. Occasionally we do, especially with Nicola Bully, but it's unusual on here. That's nice as well. Like, we don't get much trolling, just a little bit, mainly from other creators, but never mind. Okay, so yeah, conspiracy theories. Very interesting subject, and unfortunately the thing about conspiracy theories is it's proving them. There's some conspiracy theories I believe, like my personal opinion is I don't think we ever landed on the moon, but like my son thinks I'm mad for saying that, but then there's other conspiracy theories that I just think no, that's no way, but I could be wrong on that. Anyway, maybe one day we'll do a specific thing on conspiracy theories. So Alana, believe most conspiracy theories become facts within a little while. Well, that does happen. That happens quite often, doesn't it? When everyone, it's like, no, that can't be true. And then, oh yeah, it is true. Hi, Ocean. Hi, Mara. Well, I've got the video. It's just whether they pick me up on it for copyright. That's all. Hopefully they will. Hi, Charlie. I hope you're feeling better. Hi, Chumba. Hope you're well. Have you got a note for being late? Again, I'm smiling at the camera. I don't know why. Never mind. Hi, Alana. So Spain is questioning where Kate is. That Spain is always, I suppose, because it's not the Spanish royal family. Maybe they'd be the same if it was the Spanish royal family, but I don't think so. It's a whole different royal family here in Spain. But yeah, Spain do speculate a lot more. Hi, Charito. Well, we're going to watch it, Charita. We're going to watch the Under Investigation episode together. I thought it was okay, to be honest. It was better than the Nicola Bully documentary, but I did see some similarities, but we're going to watch it anyway. Hi, Wesley. The world is flat, Heather. Yeah, the Flat Earth Society. That's what they call. That's what Keir Starmer called the Conservative Party today. I don't think we landed in the moon either, no. Anyway, yeah, there's quite a few of us don't believe in the moon landing. Oh, Mari, you can hear me smiling. Good. Chumba's having curry. She always makes me hungry. Okay, so we're going to have a look at this. Hi to everyone watching at home. I know not everybody likes to join in the chat. Some people like to just watch. So thank you. If you're watching at home, thanks for watching. Hope you're well too. So let's have a look at this. So just as I say, quick reminder. Well, I don't really need to remind you because we're going to talk about it here on the video. So let's see how it goes. Now, let's see. Let's see if they pick me up or not. If it suddenly stops, that you know that they've picked me up for copyright, but we'll see.
Is Samantha Murphy,
a missing mum who's just going for a jog.
The questions, the clues,
a great place to conceal a body,
and the digital evidence that may solve this mystery.
She's getting tracked by a range of different ways.
It's almost like we're running with her. Our investigation starts now.
Now, I have to stop it every now and again because that'll make it less likely to pick up on the copyright. I do like the host of Under Investigation. I quite often have watched her on programs. So I do like her. But anyway, let's see.
Good evening, I'm Liz Hayes, and this is Under Investigation.
Now, first of all, I just want to say it's quite unusual this to do a documentary this early, because I don't think is it just about been 4 weeks maybe, or just under 4 weeks since Samantha disappeared. That's quite unusual then to do a documentary that soon into it, I think. You know, before any proper answers, like, you know, I don't know, just a thought that I had.
This story begins in Ballarat, Victoria. It's 7 a.m. on Sunday, the 4th of February. The last known image of Samantha Murphy, provided by police.
Yeah, so the 4th of February, so it's not that, so it's 24 days ago. You know, and you keep expecting something to break every day. I'm thinking, you know, they're going to find something today, there's going to be some news, and it just goes on and on, doesn't it? So, yeah, just awful for her kids.
Shows her outside her home before she sets out on her regular morning jog. She was meant to be back by 11 for brunch, but never returned. Instead, the 51-year-old mother of 3 ran to an unknown end.
Yeah, so she just virtually just ran into the ether. You know, they think, the police are saying that she definitely left the house. She definitely went for a jog. She got 7 kilometres, which is quite a long way. Something that struck me with this is, I mean, she's 51, which I know is not old these days, but still, she's 51, and she's supposed to have been only running a shorter run that morning. You know, she would run like 20 kilometres. That's quite a long way, isn't it? Someone of that age, I think. I don't know. Because when the young girl is talking later, the young girl that's on the panel, she would run 16 kilometres. So that was the first thing that sort of struck me. That's quite a long way to run, in my opinion.
Our number one investigation at present.
Her disappearance is now the focus of a massive police operation.
We're looking at absolutely everything and every possible scenario.
It's a case that may turn on a single clue. And that's what we're chasing.
For somebody to just vanish out of life and the community, people feel it, and they also sort of...
So this is the panel. I mean, she's going to introduce them, but I just wanted to point out the young girl there in the black dress. So this is the girl that was attacked last year, sort of very close by where Samantha disappeared. This girl was attacked and just left unconscious, and we'll see some of her injuries later. And then the other people are on the left-hand side, where you can just see his hands there. This is the guy, he's a missing persons expert. This guy is some sort of a psychologist, criminologist. And the guy in the blue shirt, I think he's an ex-detective. So this is the panel that she's pulled together.
Deep down, they think it could happen to any one of us.
Joining our investigation tonight, former Victorian detective Damien Marrett. Missing persons specialist Valentine Smith. Forensic psychologist Dr. Peter Ashker. And speaking to us exclusively tonight, Sissy Austin, who ran the same trails as Samantha Murphy and who survived a brutal ambush attack in the same area.
We're both women, we're both runners, and I don't think it's unreasonable to assume that Sam's disappearance is a result of men's violence.
Tonight,
Yeah, so she, you know, it happened to her, but it was a very, you know, I still think it's quite strange what happened to her, because the guy that attacked her apparently was barefoot. They're going to touch on this later. He was barefoot. I mean, imagine in the bush, barefoot, you know, because you're going to be walking on branches. That's not going to be comfortable, is it? Apart from the fact there'll be spiders and snakes and God knows what. So apparently he was, you know, he wasn't wearing any shoes. And the weapon that he attacked her with was like a homemade weapon, like a stick with a rock tied to it. And he sort of bashed her in the face and just left her unconscious. But he did not RAPE her or rob her. So, you know, just wondering what was the actual, that's got to be, you know, there must be a mental health issue there, because it didn't seem to be any motive for it. You know, so if he sort of bashed her like that and then didn't RAPE her or didn't rob her, what was the point of it? Just for the sake of bashing her in the face? It's, you know, it's strange, isn't it? Normally there's a motive behind it.
we'll examine the scenarios that might account for Samantha's disappearance. And for our special investigation, we've also travelled to the town at the heart of this mystery, Ballarat, to see firsthand where Samantha went missing.
I think a 13K run she was going for. She usually does 20K.
Yeah, I see this guy says that I think she was going for a 13K run. So basically, if she'd already done 7 kilometres, she was more or less at her halfway point, because she was supposedly doing a shorter run because she had this brunch at 11. And then he goes on to say she usually does 20K. That's long, isn't it? It is long.
And takes about 2 hours.
And it takes about 2 hours. 2 hours. I mean, any of you that out there that are runners, do you run for 2 hours? Don't forget, it was boiling hot as well. You know, that's somebody who's very fit who runs for 2 hours. I mean, very fit. So she, you know, that's what she must be, a strong, fit, powerful woman, you know, to be able to run for 2 hours. You know, I'd be struggling to walk for 2 hours. You know, it's like, to run for 2 hours takes a lot of physical stamina, doesn't it?
So she was going to do half of that.
Damien Marrett's mission here is to talk to the locals and investigate why someone might want to target Samantha Murphy.
Well, how long before she disappeared would that be?
Valentine Smith will examine the forest trails that so many women in Ballarat take on their daily run.
This is a perfect spot for an ambush. As she's coming through here, someone could be hiding off here to the right.
I think there could be like anywhere between 4,000 and 5,000 gold mines just underneath the town.
And we're joined by Raymond Shaw, a renowned mineshaft explorer. He knows the bush and the countless.
Yeah, somebody just said there, I think it was Cherito in the chat. And there was also, there was a couple, wasn't there, who said that they'd seen Samantha on the Saturday and that they'd been approached by a strange guy with his flies open. And yeah, they've not been mentioned since at all. But apparently they ended up camping in the area for 2 nights, even though they'd been approached by some weird man. You know, you wouldn't get me camping there if some weird man had tried to approach me. But yeah, I wonder what's happened to them, because they seem to have disappeared off the radar. And you know, maybe they're suspects. Who knows?
Abandoned mines in the area, and he's been helping in the search for Samantha.
That's the whole of Ballarat underneath.
It's incredible.
I mean, you know, 4,000 or 5,000, that's like putting it lightly.
Yeah.
I believe there's a lot more. A lot more.
That's amazing. Well, I've had a look at the maps too, so I think we're good to go.
Together.
Yeah, so there's this thing about the mine shafts, because it's an ex-gold mining place. There's lots of mine shafts, but they are off the beaten track. Everyone seems to think, I don't think she will have fallen down a mine shaft. Now, she could have been put down a mine shaft, if that could well be where she's hidden, though I think most of them have been searched now. But this is the guy who's the expert on the mine shafts. I can't see that she's fallen down a mine shaft. I mean, she ran that day in, day out, and she knew that area. She knew. But, you know, this again, it reminds you a bit of Nicola Bulley, isn't it? How did Nicola Bulley fall in the river? She walked that walk day in, day out for years, never fell in the river. Nobody else has ever fell in the river. So how come Nicola Bulley fell in the river? You know, and I've been to that area. I'd love to go to Ballarat if it wasn't so far away, just to see the area, because sometimes until you actually see it, you can't take it on board. And the thing about St. Michael's, where Nicola disappeared, is you'd have to go to the edge of that river to fall in there. You really would. You know, you just wouldn't go anywhere near it. You wouldn't go anywhere near it. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. So it's interesting to watch programs like this where we get an idea of the scene here in Ballarat, because these places, unless you actually go to them and see them yourself, you can't really, you know, St. Michael's looks so big. The area looks so big, but when you go there, it's tiny. You cannot believe that nobody saw anything or heard anything, because it's small.
Together, our team will build a picture on the ground of the day Samantha went missing and what or who she may have encountered.
Has Samantha lost her way? Has she had a medical episode? Has she had an accident? Or has there been some human intervention?
They're all possibilities.
So what do we know about the woman whose face has become so terribly familiar to us all? Samantha and her family have strong local connections in Ballarat.
She and her husband Mick have 3 children, and the couple own and operate a car smash repair business. Samantha is a dedicated mother, and according to her daughter Jess, someone who would fight fiercely to be back with her family.
Mum's a really strong woman, and she's far too determined to give up this fight. I know she's out there somewhere, so if you could please continue to search for her, to give us something to work with, we'd really appreciate it. Mum, we love you so much and we miss you, and we need you at home with us.
For our expert.
Yeah, so that was that impassioned plea, wasn't it, from her daughter? And it's sort of, she said she's too strong to give up this fight. It's quite strange, that, because you think, what fight, you know? But anyway, that's maybe just the way she spoke. And you can see that her daughter's so very upset. And you just can see, you know, Samantha, I know we don't know her, we don't know the circumstances, but I think it's pretty clear, everyone seems agreed, that there's no way she will have gone voluntarily to leave her children. Just no way. So that, and the police have said that, they've got no evidence to suggest that she left voluntarily, you know, just for a new life or whatever. So the police have actually said that they're not considering that as a possibility, and they'll have a reason for that. The police know so much more. I think we can gather that from the things that we have seen. I mean, they're sort of patchy in their information, aren't they? They've gone quiet again now. They came out, did that news conference quite a few days ago now, and now it's like nothing again. So it's like I really do feel they're playing some sort of cat and mouse game with whoever they think did it.
Tonight is about grappling with scenarios that might explain Samantha's disappearance, the theories which police have had to probe.
Please come home soon.
And for forensic psychologist Peter Ashkar, The first is whether Samantha Murphy staged her own disappearance.
So that's what he looks at first, the forensic psychologist. So let's see what he's got to say about it.
Peter, this is a daughter who is obviously quite connected to her mother. So the thought that she might have just wandered off or made a decision to leave, which is one of a potential theory, is hard to fathom.
As we all know in our hearts, mothers do not leave their children except under very extreme, unusual circumstances. The daughter is clearly very attached to a mother, and on that basis, I would assume that the mother's also very attached to her. So the idea that Samantha has actually willfully left the family is just unfathomable and just implausible to me.
And it's clearly not what the community of Ballarat believes.
A strong showing of support as the search for the mother of three began for another day.
Turning out in their hundreds to search for Samantha, day after day. Now,
Yeah, so remember, the community have been out searching, and the police have sort of, you know, approved of that, of them going out searching. So that's, again, a bit strange in my eyes. But the police have said that they think she may well by now have been moved to another location, which I think is exactly probably likely. Now, of course, there's these catastrophic bushfires at the moment, not actually there, but not far from there. So the searches have been called off now until that situation, because there's a weather, you know, a bushfire warning. So the searches have been called off until that situation is resolved.
Week after week. And Sissy Austin has been one of them.
Let's talk about Samantha and give her a bit of a voice here. From all reports, she was highly connected to the community. She was involved in the community.
Yeah, I'm really conscious of not speaking on behalf of Samantha, but yeah, definitely Samantha's, you know, close friends, family, community. You know, I met someone out on the search last week who used to serve Sam her wraps daily in the restaurant, who was in tears out there searching for her. So it's like extended beyond family, friends. It's down to, you know, people that have served Sam her food, her coffee in the community that are out there searching.
Which says a lot about her. It says there are a lot of people in this community that felt for her and felt great empathy and connection to.
Yeah.
Even if you didn't know her, you felt a connection.
Yeah, a lot of people are placing themselves in Samantha's shoes and also, you know, Samantha's family's shoes and really putting themselves out there to find Sam.
Like many of...
Yeah, I mean, communities do come together, don't they? And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you knew her or not personally. Everybody can feel a sympathy and empathy with children who are missing their mum. You know, you don't have to know somebody personally to feel, you know, concerned and hope that they come home and want to help. And I think that's I've said before, I think that's quite a typical human feeling, is to want to help, because people like to, people don't like feeling helpless, if you like. You know, people, you know, just sitting at home and sort of watching the news and waiting for news. If you get an opportunity that you could go there and help with searches and feel like you are being useful, I think there's a lot of people would like to do that, isn't there? You know, I think that's quite a normal, natural feeling.
Those searching, Sissy Austin doesn't know Samantha personally, but the trauma of being viciously attacked while also jogging almost exactly a year ago compels her to help find Samantha.
Look, now, I wonder if she still goes jogging, because I think that would just put me off for life, to be honest.
It's a really hard time for me, given it was the anniversary of my attack, but with my pain and my hurt, I felt that, you know, the best thing to do with that energy that I was experiencing in my body was to, you know, be out there and assisting with the search as best as I can. So, you know, whilst it's been really hard, it's I don't, you know, regret it.
No.
And I'll be back out there once I'm finished here.
Tonight, Sissy's own terrible experience will help inform our experts and our investigation into what happened to Samantha Murphy.
We know Samantha loved running and she was training for a 21-kilometre fun run.
Oh, she was training for a 21-kilometre fun run. I don't know if I'd call it a fun run. It sounds like a torture run to me. So that explains why she was doing 20 kilometres if she was training for a particular run, which was maybe for charity or something like that, or to raise funds maybe for the drama group that her children were in. Her and her husband's business sponsored a lot of the drama productions, the amateur drama productions that the theatre company put on. And do you remember when we were, I don't know if you've listened to all the videos that I've done about Samantha. There was one where the director of that theatre company was talking, and she did say that Samantha's son is like a ballet prodigy, so that was interesting. So because it's unusual as well, more often girls who like ballet, isn't it? But so it was, he'd definitely be popular in the ballet world because probably not as common for male, maybe I shouldn't be presumptuous saying that, but yes, she actually described him as a ballet prodigy. So maybe that's what Samantha was doing the fun run for.
Most mornings she set out on a hearty 10 to 15 kilometre jog. She took her iPhone, wore an Apple Watch, and we understand AirPods.
But on the ground, there's a unique and troubling feature of the terrain around Ballarat that perhaps opens a tragic window into this mystery. The thousands of disused mine shafts.
In this awful situation, if Samantha has found herself in a mine, the chances of making a call for help are limited?
Are very limited. No one's going to hear you crying for help. There's no phone. There's nothing. It's very dark, damp down there.
Oh, that makes me feel terrible.
Yeah, it makes you feel sick to the stomach.
They don't look like mines that you would, they look very narrow, don't they? You'd think you'd get stuck in them, really, or, unless you were very skinny. But also, see, they can drop down and then they go along like that. So I believe that some of them have been searched. Don't know if they've been searched by the police, but the police are operating on phone data. Either phone data or the Apple Watch data, which they've given no details whatsoever of the Apple Watch data. So it makes you think that they must be operating on that data. Surely they would know if she fell down a mine, or, they should be able to pinpoint, exactly where she was most of the time if they have got that phone data, Apple Watch data.
Coming up,
if you fell down, your chances of survival
Would be very, very slim.
the death traps just off the track.
It might be a very convenient place to dispose of a body.
You'd probably never find it again.
Was Samantha running scared?
This is a perfect spot for an ambush here.
That's next on Under Investigation. Tonight, we're investigating the mysterious and increasingly sinister disappearance of mother of three, Samantha Murphy, who vanished while on her morning jog.
We need you at home with us. Please come home soon. I can't wait to see you.
The case that has Australia bracing for the worst, but still hoping for the best.
Everyone in relation to Samantha is a person of interest. In our investigation, we are speaking to everyone that was in her life.
I do quite like him. He's a bit of a rival for Jeff's, my Sheriff Jeff's attention. I do quite like that guy.
Examining all the possibilities police have had to consider.
The idea that Samantha has actually willfully left the family is just unfathomable and just implausible to me.
We're both women, we're both runners, and I don't think it's unreasonable to assume that Sam's disappearance is a result of men's violence.
Ballarat, Samantha Murphy's hometown, carries a dark and violent past.
Hard to see the light shining so bright.
The Eureka Stockade and the rebellion, bloody confrontations between miners and authorities during Australia's biggest gold rush in the mid-1800s.
So this is littered with gold mines.
Correct.
It left the district pitted with thousands of deep and deadly shafts and tunnels. And it's possible one of these may hold the secret to Samantha Murphy's fate.
Can be semi-collapsed, full of foliage, or, you know, that foliage on top can take you down to the depths of like about 40 or 60 metres.
It's the concern of mineshaft expert Raymond Shaw.
And if you fell down,
Yep.
your chances of survival?
Would be very, very slim on a deep one. You'd probably break your neck, you know.
Yeah, just thinking, how could you really fall down there? I mean, I know we saw that video, didn't we, of the kangaroo, bless it, that had fallen down, that was they saved, that had a little joey in its pouch. I just don't know how you could fall down there, really. You know, it looks like you'd have to squeeze your way down there. Unless she was running away from someone or something, maybe if she had to run. As I say, if she was running on the track that she normally ran on, I wish somebody would make a video of that. Maybe somebody has, and it'd be good, wouldn't it, to actually someone to actually video the track that she would have taken, so we can see it exactly as it was. Because I can't see that she will have come off the track unless somebody chased her off the track, or some animal, or for some reason she wouldn't have come off the track. Though they were saying that the only reason the jogger goes, the sissy goes on to say, maybe you might leave the track to go for a wee, or to go to the loo, or do whatever you need to do. Nature's call, maybe.
First few metres into it.
Some shafts can be as deep as 100 metres, where the air is barely breathable.
This is a terrible question, but if Samantha Murphy is in a mine shaft in this region, what are the chances of finding her?
Probably Buckley's a none. It's very difficult to walk around the terrain out here and, cover every little bit of, surface workings. It's absolutely impossible.
Damien, they offer a unique part to this mystery, don't they?
Well, they do. Look, they could be a great place to conceal a body or a crime after.
Yeah, I think that's true. They are a place where somebody could conceal a body, but of course we've got to get the body down there. Have they ever found bodies down there? I don't know.
The fact, if something did happen in that park, foul play, you could put stuff down that mine shaft, including a body, and you'd probably never find it again.
Investigating Samantha's disappearance,
the police have had to grapple with a number of possible scenarios, including...
Wouldn't dogs be able to detect? Surely they've got little dogs that would go down these mine shafts. They would take them to sniff first. And if they alerted wouldn't dogs alert to a body? If they took them to the entrance of the mine shaft on the lead, to make sure they didn't go down it until they were ready for them to go down it. Or if if the dogs alerted to the smell of a body, I think they must have done that. They've been out there with dogs. So I don't believe she's down a mine shaft. Personally, in my opinion, for what it's worth, in my professional opinion, I don't think she's down a mine shaft, because I think otherwise I'm sure the police have taken dogs to sniff out there.
Whether she could have fallen into a mine shaft by accident. Although Sissy Austin believes that's almost impossible. Local joggers, she says, are well aware of the dangers, especially if you deviate off the track.
Everyone who's grown up in Ballarat, and particularly a mother who's raised children in Ballarat, would, know about the mine shafts. Obviously, like, you don't go off the tracks. And when I've been out searching for Sam, the only time you do go off the track potentially is to, like, go to the toilet as a runner. All the locals know how to navigate the terrain without falling down a mine shaft.
Peter Ashkar. Of course, the psychology of a community knows about mine shafts. They know that they're dangerous.
From a psychological perspective, Samantha was an experienced runner. She knew the area very well. She was running during daylight hours. I certainly agree with Damien that it might be a very convenient place to dispose of the body if something like that has occurred.
Yeah, it is quite a big moustache, that, isn't it, Charlie? I think moustaches are not really de moda at the moment, are they? They're not really in fashion, moustaches. But it's quite a big moustache. Do you know, Charlie, until you said that, I hadn't even noticed it. And now you've said it, I keep looking at his moustache.
But certainly would not expect an experienced runner like Samantha to have accidentally fallen down one.
Police have also had to consider whether Samantha has suffered a sudden medical event or even a snake bite. Damien, reasonable?
No, because I think she'd be smart enough to stay in the same position on the track.
Yeah, and even as we've been searching, there's phone service everywhere. Like, it's not completely out of town. There's no point where our phones have gone to, like, SOS only.
And even if she was to have a health issue like...
Yeah, I thought that was interesting what Sissy said there, because she said they never lost... there's phone signal everywhere. They never lost signal. So, although, this is why I'd really love it if somebody did that run, just so that you could see the area, just how remote is it where she was. Because she said that when they were searching, because she's been out on the search parties, they never lost signal. It never went to SOS only. So it's not that remote.
A heart attack. I mean, you're not going to crawl into the bush. That's like crawling away to die, because your only chance is for somebody to come along those tracks.
And seeing the track Samantha ran, it's clear this is not remote bushland.
I'm still surprised how easy and open the run is. And so I am thinking for something to go wrong, it has to be major for you not to be found.
Absolutely.
We're never far from a road, which makes her complete disappearance, despite nearly 3 weeks of intensive searching, deeply suspicious to missing persons expert Valentine Smith.
The cover is there in places, I know, but it's still quite wide open.
They had a lot of searches in here, and there's searches going on today, as we know.
Yeah, it looks quite clear and open, doesn't it? If she had sort of tripped up or, had a medical incident, as they were saying, she's not going to, like that guy just said, she's not going to crawl off into the bushes then. She's going to, just stay out in the open, because she'll know that's her best. If she was still conscious, she'd know that's her best chance of being found. And if she wasn't conscious, she wouldn't have been able to crawl away into the bush. So I think, unfortunately, we do really, it is pretty obvious that somebody took her away.
Very experienced people in here today.
Yeah.
And the dogs they had here were exceptional. And nothing, which I find very, very unusual.
But Valentine believes it is possible Samantha would leave the track if she'd been suddenly confronted.
This is a perfect spot for an ambush.
Someone who's had her running for her life.
Someone could be hiding off here to the right, and as she's sort of coming through here, and then jump out in front of her, whack. What a spot, right here. Would not have a hope.
If Samantha was attacked, that scenario brings with it some chilling assumptions. Someone who targeted, possibly stalked, and almost certainly followed Samantha that morning. Just as happened to Sissy Austin almost 12 months before in the same area.
This is what happens when you go for a run in the bush in Ballarat.
On February the 11th last year, on her usual jog, Sissy was ambushed by a barefoot man she barely saw, striking her viciously with a rock and leaving her for dead.
Once I'd been knocked unconscious, it wasn't until I got back to my car, I was searching for my phone and realised that I actually had my phone on me the entire time. And it's not something that crossed my mind at all when I was trying to find my way back after being knocked unconscious. So I think it's because I was trying to get out there. It was probably because I was scared, like I was disorientated.
Well, you're escaping an attacker.
Yeah.
You know, you're out there, you're jogging, it's early morning, it's hot,
Yeah.
and you've been attacked and seriously injured.
Yeah.
It's an insight into what potentially Samantha might have faced.
Yeah, and I don't want to make assumptions of what, Samantha's gone through. It's my own experience that I've, mostly kept to myself throughout these last 2 weeks, but it's like definitely a place where my mind is continuously, wandering.
Yeah. Valentine, that is, as difficult as that is, that's a great insight for what happens out there in that situation.
I just thank you for sharing it with us. Just a question in relation to your attacker. The attacker you reported was barefoot?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's very interesting. I mean, who walks through terrain, forest terrain, barefoot? And a hypothesis that I would draw from that is you typically see people with serious mental illness, unclothed, dishevelled, not wearing shoes. So that's the first thing that comes to my mind about your description of your attacker.
Sissy.
Yeah, that's just terrifying, is it? I think that's even more terrifying. That it would be somebody just, for no reason, for no motive. As I say, there was no SEX attack or anything like that, but for no reason whatsoever, except probably they were mentally ill. They've just decided to come and bash someone in the face with a rock on a stick. Just that's even more terrifying than a stalker for me. Just because they're just like, it's so random, and what can you do about anybody like that?
She was ambushed near the halfway point of her regular run, where she planned to go back. An indication, perhaps, that her attacker knew her routine.
I knew in my mind that I was doing 8Ks that day, and I knew that I had my watch, and I knew at the 4K point that's where I'd turn around and run back, and I was almost at the 4K point when I was attacked. I hadn't quite made the turnaround.
4Ks.
So, yeah.
The point at which Sissy was attacked has a chilling parallel in what we now know of Samantha's disappearance. She'd apparently planned a 15-kilometre jog that day. But according to police, data obtained from her iPhone and Apple Watch indicates she only made 7 kilometres.
Yeah, so this is what the police have said. So this is actually official. That they've said her iPhone and Apple Watch indicate she only did 7 kilometres. And that's why they searched in that particular area of Mount Clear. So the Ballarat community have been searching the Canadian State Forest. And that is where, because she'll have run through that is where the police did search the first week, didn't they? And then they just stopped. And then the Ballarat community have continued searching that. And then the police then searched this area, didn't they? A more specific area. And that'll be because of the data that they've got that shows them that she reached this area. And then after that, well, the police know a bit more, I think, but they're not saying anymore.
What would have been close to the halfway mark in her run.
They've analysed that data, and something's happened at that 7 kilometre point that is so significant that they believe that's the point that something happened.
And from this moment on,
it was probably a spike, wasn't it, in the I don't know if an Apple Watch, if it's like similar to a Fitbit. Remember the Fitbit with Nicola Bulley? There was this spike of activity, heartbeat racing, etc. So of course Nicola Bulley's Fitbit carried on functioning for a little while afterwards, didn't it? But anyway, again, that's a whole nother story. But I presume that's why they think something happened at that particular point. It'll be from the data. There'll be a spike in the heart rate, that tells them that something significant, some struggle happened or something happened.
it seems Samantha Murphy is in trouble.
We have to assume, do we, that someone knew that she was on that run that morning?
Somebody either knew where she'd run past and waited, or there were more than one person. One was behind following, another one was waiting up further, or, she was followed in there. What I believe is this was targeted, and 7 kilometres in, an incident has happened. And obviously that's a pretty important incident, because that's where police have told us that she got to, and that's where searches are continuing. So what happened after that and who was involved?
Coming up,
They will slip under the radar and appear no different to anyone else in the community.
the case for a psychopath.
Who else?
Yeah. So they're going to talk about, they talk about different hypotheses here, different theories. They're going to talk now about was it a psychopath or whatever. But what we've got to remember through all this is that the police have said specifically they do not think there's any danger to the wider community. So the police obviously think it's someone who knew Samantha, that Samantha was targeted, because otherwise, how could they possibly say there's no danger to the wider community? They just couldn't say it. But they are saying it. So they're saying that for a reason.
Had access to apps on her phone.
A predator with a plan.
They would be able to see where she was moving and how she was moving.
It just feels like a targeted attack.
That's next. Samantha Murphy loved jogging. But on Sunday morning, February the 4th, she literally ran out of sight. And at the 7-kilometre mark, digital data from her Apple Watch and iPhone indicates something occurred.
They've analysed that data, and something's happened at that 7-kilometre point that is so significant that they believe that's the point that something happened.
For our experts tonight, there are a number of difficult areas to examine, including whether Samantha has been attacked, and if so, the inescapable question, who's responsible? And there are 2 options.
The 2 main hypotheses that we'd want to follow and test. If it's not someone they know, it's going to be someone who's operating perhaps under a psychotic delusion, or somebody who is actually a psychopathic predator.
We've looked at the parallels. The attack Sissy Austin suffered almost a year before while also jogging. Sissy was ambushed and viciously beaten by a man midway through her run. And as it's believed with Samantha, Sissy too was wearing earphones.
How can you get 7 Ks down the track and not necessarily know someone's behind you? Would your earphones disconnect you from other sounds?
Yeah, they could. I think it could be that. It could be there's a certain feeling that you have when you're running where you feel like you're on top of the world and you can't feel anything else around you other than hearing your own breath, hearing your feet on the track. And sometimes that's all you're, focused on.
Yeah, you're in tune with your own body. So you.
Then another important thing to note is, like, as women, often we can feel if something doesn't feel right. And that's also, like, really important to acknowledge, even walking down the street, even, going somewhere at night, you can sense if something isn't feeling right or if someone is following you, that if it's somewhere that's been a place of safety, like I certainly, before like my attack, wouldn't have been looking over my shoulder.
You provide such an incredible insight into the experience of running through that forest. If Samantha had cause for concern, became worried about noises or her experience of running, my question is this: why did she not call someone?
She's a strong woman. She runs a lot. She's very fit. It's her psychology that she's in control and she's...
But you know, in times of fear, like, you can freeze.
Yes.
Like, I personally forgot that I had my phone on me. Did something happen so quickly that there was actually no time to call someone?
And in terms of a predator, do you surmise that they've checked out the location?
If it is the case that Samantha has been involved or preyed upon by a predator, if they were the psychopathic type of predator, they would know that area like the back of their hand.
And as he sifts through the information, forensic psychologist Dr. Peter Ashkar can't dismiss an early hunch.
If I were to, lay my cards on the table, it would be towards it being a very organised and planned psychopathic predator. They're usually very damaged psychologically. They're cold, they're callous, they're bold, they're daring. They're usually very intelligent. Very often they will slip under the radar and appear no different to anyone else in the community, and that allows them to get very close to the victims.
The question for our experts is, are the two cases, the attack on Sissy and the disappearance of Samantha, connected?
I see it like this. You've got Sissy's case. You investigate that case. You investigate this case.
And if they connect, you connect.
And if they connect, you just keep an open mind.
Yeah, we're not saying that, you can't connect the cases.
No.
What we're saying is that there's not enough to suggest that it's possibly the same person.
Cruelly, Sissy Austin is still waiting for justice and for the man who attacked her to be identified. But our team believes it's more likely he's not involved in Samantha Murphy's disappearance. And there remains one other painful scenario.
That she's fallen victim to someone known to her.
Someone perhaps with a grudge against her or her family, who has turned hate or anger into a terrible act. Someone who may be seeking a solution to a problem. It's the scenario veteran detective Damien Marrett is turning to.
If something happens to a victim, whether it's a disappearance, a murder, the first thing the police are going to do is build up what's called victimology. And that is what that person has been up to in their life, every single aspect of it.
Yeah, what you're saying, remember, that's what the guy with the video that I showed this morning, the radio show, that's what the guy was saying. A victim has no secrets. Because, anyone who's a victim of a crime, like, a murder, the police get to know everything about their life, don't they? Because that's what they have to do to find out what happened to them. They've got to build up a picture of, who their contacts were, what they did every day, where they worked, who their friends were, who their partners were, I say partners, I mean, who did. Sometimes people do have multiple partners, and that makes things complicated.
The police are going to analyse their social media, their devices, the schedule they kept, where they worked, who they associated with, where they've been lately. And then that goes on to the relationships that they have in their life. You've got to look at everything.
The eerily precise location police have identified at the 7-kilometre point in Samantha's run suggests to Damien this could well be a targeted attack by someone who knew or had access to Samantha's movements.
Who else had access to apps on her phone, like Find My Phone and so
Good
forth?
point, very good point.
So she could have been tracked without those people having to physically surveil her.
When we look at this particular track, Liz, incredibly amount of resources searching it.
having viewed the local bush and the running trails and spoken with the locals, probed all the scenarios, the same theories police have had to investigate, our experts agree Samantha Murphy has most likely fallen victim to foul play.
People just don't disappear without good reason.
And they all...
Yeah, they're basically, I think that's what the police feel. Anyway, definitely that she has fallen victim to foul play. So I was just reading what you said, Kelly, about this person that you're seeing when you go on your walks and stuff. You know, so you got to be careful not going the same place, same time. I mean, it may just be being friendly. The problem is, you know, you don't. I remember once I was in a shopping centre, not my local shopping centre. I'd gone to like one a bit further away, and can't remember why I'd gone there. Maybe there's a shop in that shopping centre, you know. But I was a little way, and it was funny because it was the middle of the day and there were people in there. But I suddenly noticed, I went in one shop, and it was a woman's shop, you know, it was handbags and things like that. And I noticed this guy in there sort of like looking at me and trying to smile at me. So that I straight away panicked and then just came straight out, walked up, started going in other shops. And I noticed he was following me. He was actually following me from shop to shop. And I was absolutely terrified, to be honest. I mean, it seems silly now, but I was just thinking, what am I going to do? And I just didn't want to go to the car, because the car was, you know what the car parks are like in these big shopping centres. I didn't want to go to the car because I didn't know if there'd be anybody in the car park, or would I be. I just didn't know what to do. I think you sort of freeze sometimes in those situations. You always think, you know, you do this or you do that, but you actually don't know what to do. And then just out of the blue, so I saw a couple that I knew, you know, friends of mine. Oh my God, I've never been so glad to see anybody. And I told them about this guy. And anyway, they walked me out to the car and I got in the car and I just drove off. But it's a horrible feeling, you know, and maybe, you know, because my friend said to me, look, and maybe he just quite liked the look of you and he wanted to talk to you. But, you know, it was just like, oh my God, you know, maybe he did. But I didn't like the way he was following me from shop to shop and even coming in handbag shops. I mean, men don't like going in women's shops normally. But anyway, sorry. So let me carry this on now.
Also believe there is a high probability she has been taken by those who may have tracked and ambushed her.
It just feels like a targeted attack. Somebody who intimately knew the tracks that she takes or had access to be able to track her runs.
The final answers may lie in critical evidence our experts are about to examine. Coming up.
From the second that she walked out of her door, she's getting tracked by a range of different ways.
The revelations. It's almost like we're running with her. From Samantha's digital trail.
It was an anomaly, a change in the behaviour of what the device was collecting.
How reliable is that?
Very precise, down to the metres.
That's an accident, predator, or someone she knew. They are the scenarios for one of Australia's most unsettling missing persons cases in recent years. The mystery of what happened to Samantha Murphy.
We've got a lady who went missing in a rural area and there's been no trace of her thus far, so it is a complex investigation.
Well, as this case is developing, the digital data from Samantha's devices is becoming more and more important.
Former detective Nigel Fair, who headed investigations at the Australian High-Tech Crime Centre, has been studying Samantha Murphy's digital trail.
We're joined by Nigel Fair.
He joins us in the studio tonight.
Nigel, thank you. Samantha Murphy's disappearance seems to be relying now heavily on data.
Yes, Liz. Digital evidence will form the primacy of the police investigation. All their avenues of inquiry will start with digital evidence, and indeed it'll flow all the way through to any subsequent prosecution that they may take.
As she went out that morning, Samantha had two incredibly powerful devices mapping and tracking a range of digital data. Her iPhone, whose location can be accurately triangulated by the multiple cell towers in the area, and her Apple Watch, measuring her biometrics, heart rate, stride length, even if she has had a fall. It's almost like we're running with her. Is that what you're suggesting?
Yes, from the second that she walked out of her door, went out on the street, it would be able to see where she was moving and how she was moving, and they would be able to understand as she moved into the forest, her altitude changes, and then that might relay to different stride lengths.
And both devices generate precise GPS data, technically able to place her within a few meters. It's information police have been quietly gathering since their investigation began. But now we know a critical fact.
From what I'm understanding, it was probably at that 7 kilometre mark that there has been some different pattern.
All was seemingly normal for Samantha until she reached this 7 kilometre point. But then there was apparently a disturbance. Her biometric data and other digital evidence speaks to an incident, something presumably related to her disappearance.
Approximately an hour after she left home, she reached the Mad Clear area.
And that evidence, most likely a package of telltale information, including the last registered contact from her iPhone, the last digital ping, has refocused the police investigation and search.
Now, something that sort of interested me about this is, unlike the Nicola Bulley documentary, they've obviously consulted with the police a bit on this, I think. So they're using, I know the police aren't actually there commentating on it, but they're using sort of the press conference release. You feel like, you know, the police have had some involvement in this, or have given it their okay, at least, you know, because I do think this is quite soon into somebody going missing to do a documentary on it. You know, it was a year, wasn't it, before they did the Nicola Bulley documentary, after the inquest, after all, you know, things. This is very soon into a missing persons inquiry. I suppose it's a bit maybe like a Crime Watch type thing, maybe. Maybe they should have done a documentary earlier into Nicola Bulley thing, but yeah, as I say, although the police aren't commenting directly on this, you feel like it must have been done with their blessing, perhaps. What do you think? Do you think the police will have? It's a whole different, so different the way the police are dealing with this.
That search is based potentially on the last known ping.
Yes, either the last known ping or the last known ping where there was normal activity. If she's running at a constant speed and we know that she was a fit person, the other data being stride length and those type of things, heart rate was all constant, then I think at that stage there was an anomaly, a change in the behaviour of what the device was collecting.
How reliable is that? That's
hugely reliable.
And precise?
Very precise, down to the metres.
If they've had this data, you think, from the start, why has it taken 18 days for us to search the 7 kilometre point?
It's a really good question. Putting my ex-police hat on, maybe they wanted to see if the perpetrators went back to that spot.
Good answer.
Nigel Fair believes the sudden absence of...
Now, I was just typing something there. Just going back to the Nicola Bulley thing, that interview that Paul Ansell did with Dan Walker, it was over a week after Nicola went missing because he didn't appear for a week. Remember, Paul Ansell didn't, it was practically a week before he appeared, and he did that interview on the banks of the river with Sky News where he smiled, which was where everybody started thinking, oh, what's he laughing at? And it was after that, wasn't it? So I reckon it was at least a week in to Nicola going missing. Round about that time when he suddenly appeared after not, it wasn't because her parents did the first interview, didn't they? The first appeal. Separately, it was Dart, Ernie and Louise did the first interview, and then after that Paul did his interview with Dan Walker. But there was something else I was going to say there, and of course I've forgotten it now because I started saying that. I'm just going to put this back a little bit because there was something he said there. Oh, yeah, something he says there that I thought was very, very interesting. Let's have a look.
Information, including the last registered contact from her iPhone, the last digital ping, has refocused the police investigation and search.
That search is based potentially on the last known ping.
Yes, either the last known ping or the last known ping where there was normal activity. If she's running at a constant speed and we know that she was a fit person, the other data being stride length and those type of things, heart rate was all constant, then I think at that stage there was an anomaly, a change in the behaviour of what the device was collecting.
How reliable is that? That's
hugely reliable.
And precise?
Very precise, down to the meters.
If they've had this data, you think, from the start, why has it taken 18 days for us to search the 7 kilometre point?
It's a really good question. Putting my ex-police hat on, maybe they wanted to see if the perpetrators went back to that spot.
Yeah, now that's interesting, isn't it? I do, well, I keep saying it, probably driving you mad saying it over and over again. I do think the police are playing with not playing with the person, but trying to lure out, trying to make them make a mistake. So, if they're on there saying, yeah, we're going back, because they announced that they were going back to search that area. They said that for a reason. Why didn't they just go and search it? They didn't have to tell the world that they were going back to that area to search it. So maybe they were trying to lure someone into going, thinking, oh my God, did I leave something there? Did I leave something there? Did I forget something? Or maybe they were trying to sort of provoke somebody into doing something. Maybe they're keeping an eye on someone to see what they're doing. I do feel that, and he's just said that, and he's an ex-policeman, and he said, putting my ex-police head on, maybe they wanted to see if the perpetrators went back to that spot, because if the perpetrators think they've left something behind, and then the police say they're going back to search that area, they would be panicking, wouldn't they?
Good answer.
Nigel Fair believes the sudden absence of digital data from Samantha's devices is not only a powerful pointer to the possibility something sinister has occurred, it could also be an insight to a predator's sophisticated technical knowledge.
I'm intrigued if everything stopped at that 7 kilometre mark and we just have nothing. That means someone's done something active against those two devices, and you have to know what you are doing to think, I'm going to completely take these out. It's not just turning them off, it's destroying them and then getting rid of that piece of evidence.
I mean, Nigel, is it possible that the towers and this acquired data tell us if the phone and the devices are being moved and carried by someone other than Samantha?
It can if we relay it with existing run data of hers.
Nigel says criminals have been known to remove or replace the SIM card in an iPhone. But the mobile can still be tracked because each phone has an individual identification number, a hardware code called IMEI.
Even if you've passed that phone on and you cleared it all, would it send out the IMEI? And how do they track that without a number?
A device has two signifiers. It has the phone number, which you can change, call that the soft.
This, when it comes to all this digital stuff, I've got to be honest, this is where I sort of don't, it's like I can't compute it. But yeah, somebody just said then, and you're right, they make it seem as if they've got the data from the police or that the police have participated. somehow in this program without actually sitting there and participating. See, there's a few different. So on that morning, somebody else was saying there in the chat, Mick apparently went out looking for Samantha that morning, but has never been out looking for her since then. As far as I know, anybody who's watching who I'm wrong in saying that, but the general thing that people have been saying since that morning is that Mick hasn't been going out helping with the search. But that morning he supposedly did go out and help with the search. Well, it wasn't a search then. He went out when Sam didn't come back. He went out looking for her, apparently. But then not after that morning. And maybe thought I would just leave the police to do it. You know, maybe that's the reason. Might not be a suspicious reason. And now they're going to talk about how could somebody else have ran as if they were Samantha? Or has Samantha actually been seen by people? You know, so they haven't actually mentioned that anybody saw her running. They believe that she ran. They've said that because they've got the data that shows that she ran. But did anybody actually see her running, or could it have been somebody else running? I mean, it's, you know, it's a mystery, isn't it?
Software signifier, and then it has a hardware identifier, which is the IMEI number. And that's what will always remain the same regardless of how you clean the phone. It always has its hardware signifier.
It means police have been able to track the movements of Samantha's phone, even if it's been cleared of the SIM card and taken from her.
Regardless if you swap SIMs or don't use a SIM at all and just use it as a Wi-Fi only device in a Wi-Fi area, it will always broadcast that IMEI number onto the network.
And it isn't only Samantha's digital footprint police can track. Investigators can also detect the data of others in the same location. And that includes digital devices predators might have with them, including technology built into a car.
If we can...
Yeah. Do you feel, I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like this as well. It's almost, you know, it's like they're almost telling the perpetrators, because you can bet $1 million that whoever has done something to Samantha is watching this. Well, or did watch this. I mean, it was on sort of before. I mean, obviously this is a recording, and it's been released for a while now. They'll have watched it. And some of the things they're saying, they'll have watched it to try and glean whatever they can from it. And it just makes you wonder now, the things they're saying, will that person, whoever it is, or those people, be panicking now about their car, and what have they got in their car? Have they got a sat nav? There was a murderer. I think he was a Polish guy. He kidnapped his ex-wife from Britain, murdered her in the back of his van, and then took the body over to Poland or wherever he was from, somewhere in Eastern Europe, and he was caught by his sat nav, and her body was found only because of his sat nav. They tracked his sat nav, and they could see, that he'd been in a certain area of woodland for a length of time. And then it resulted that actually her body had been found, but they didn't know who it was. The Polish authorities didn't know who she was. She was like a Jane Doe. But when the British police sort of tracked this guy's sat-nav, her ex-husband's sat-nav, and they traced him all that journey over to Poland and saw that he stopped in this woodland for a period of time, contacted the Polish police. I'm saying Poland, it was somewhere in Eastern Europe. Contacted the police there, and it turned out that they had this body. Then it was, they'd found this Jane Doe, and this was her, this was his ex-wife, and that's how he was caught. So I bet there's a few people sweating out there, or there's one person definitely sweating. Whoever's caused harm to Samantha, they must be thinking, have they got something? You know, they'll be, they think it's all right, it's all well and good doing things to people, nasty things like that, these kind of things. But do you ever spend a day where you're not looking over your shoulder again?
And track Samantha's device into an area, what other devices were in that area at that same time? And it would be, I would argue, quite a sophisticated criminal would think not to bring their own digital evidence into that type of crime scene.
Digital data and its intricate detail has focused the investigation, and it's given police incredible information, including that something happened 7 kilometres into Samantha's run. But it doesn't bode well that the search for Samantha is continuing. If there is not a sign of Samantha there, not a body, what does it tell us?
I think it tells us that she's been moved, whether it's a long way or a short way, whether it's down a mine shaft, whether it's to some other location. The other thing is there any parts of her devices there? Either they've been broken and there's some remnants, or they've been thrown down a mine shaft, or they've been carried off. The best thing going really for police would be if they weren't disabled and they were just carried away.
And there also might be other forensic material there, like there could be blood, there could be
absolutely
a weapon,
pieces of material, torn material.
Yep.
As we know, Liz, she's a fighter, so there could be a fight that's gone on.
From your knowledge, from what you've investigated and seen, is there a probable scenario that you would lean towards as to what has happened to Samantha Murphy?
I think she's met with foul play by at least 2 other people at that location, at that 7 kilometres.
They keep talking about more than one person, don't they? You know, the police have talked about, he's saying now, I think she's met with foul play by at least 2 other people. Why are they so convinced it's at least 2 other people? Is it because otherwise they couldn't have got her in the car? You know, it's strange that they're so convinced that there's more than one person involved.
Kilometre location in or around there.
And how likely is it that police have the data on potential predators and police are tracking those predators too?
I think it's highly likely.
Yeah. How important do you see this, Valentine, the digital trail?
Oh, it's of incredible importance.
Digital data and its ability to draw us closer to finding Samantha is extraordinary. But missing persons expert Valentine Smith believes that the most potent investigative resource is still the general public. And he implores everyone to remain motivated and involved.
It's important that the
That's interesting, isn't it? Now, I don't know if any, I think, did some of you out there say that you had an Apple Watch? I don't know how Apple Watch works. Somebody was saying they didn't think that Apple would give all the information, not even to the police. Would they even have a choice? Or, you know, anyway, I don't know. But I would imagine that the first thing they would do if somebody attacked Samantha and then took her away, her body away, or, you know, we can still hope that she may be alive somewhere. She may have been kidnapped. She may not be dead. We've got to hope against hope that she isn't. But would they, I suppose then they would have removed the Apple Watch because they wouldn't have wanted it to be tracked. But what would they have done with it? What would they have done with it? Because whatever they did with it, it'd be leaving some sort of a trail, unless, is that what they were saying before? Unless they disabled it completely, smashed it, I don't know, took out, what were they saying? Take out the SIM card or whatever. I don't know, but all I know with Apple is the only thing I've ever had that was Apple was an iPad. And then when I had to get it replaced because there was a crack in the screen, and they had to give me a new one because it was in guarantee. They just, you know, they just they just transferred everything over. They had all the data, all my photos, all my information. You know, you know, I still, you know, I'm living in the past. I don't know how it works. So I'm just wondering how they could dispose of that Apple Watch to stop it operating.
Community, listen to what's being said here tonight, and to really focus on what's happened and make notes and think and report it to the police and report it to Crime Stoppers. That's what it's there for.
Coming up,
there'll be more than that one person that knows.
Kelly, going on to what you're saying there, the police have said specifically, this is something official that has been said, that they are looking at the books of the business. They are looking at the books. Why, I don't know. And of course, Samantha dealt with the books. But the police have said that they're looking at the business. The business is a centre, but I suppose it's bound to be. You know, I'm just trying to be, I don't want to make it look as if it was, you know, Mick. I hope to God it wasn't Mick. You know, sort of just history tells us that it generally is the partner, but not always the partner. And at the end of the day, as I've said often, I just don't want it to be Mick because of the kids. But of course, the police will look at the books, look at the business, because that's just, you know, it was a business they had together. The woman's disappeared. It'd be the same if it was the other way around. If Mick had disappeared or anyone from that business had disappeared, the police would be looking at the business, wouldn't they? So I suppose we can't read too much into it, but the police have said that, and they've been there and searched it and they've taken items away. But they haven't specified what items or what cars they've searched. They've been particularly interested in the cars there. So
that's what's happened.
A crucial clue.
This is so important because they didn't just say a car, they said a damaged car.
Is a breakthrough imminent?
A resolution that finds peace in our hearts and allows for healing.
Tonight, we're investigating the fate of Samantha Murphy, mother of 3 who left her Ballarat home 3 weeks ago for a morning run.
People just don't disappear without good reason.
But now, despite a massive police operation,
it's our #1 investigation at present.
And an entire community rallying to find her.
I met someone out on the search last week who was in tears out there searching for her.
There seems faint hope she'll be found alive.
This was targeted, and 7 kilometres in, an incident has happened. So what happened after that and who was involved?
I'm still not convinced that we're looking at a homicide.
Forensic psychologist Dr. Peter Ashker is still considering the alternative possibility that Samantha may have been kidnapped at the 7-kilometre point where her digital trail ends.
I still would like to believe the very real possibility that it's a kidnapping and that she's still alive, and that's my hope. But I absolutely feel that this is whoever has taken her and abducted her. They're very systematic and well organised and knew very well what they were doing.
The kidnap scenario gains added weight, with police now indicating they're interested in a vehicle. To veteran detective Damien Marrett, it's vital information.
This is so important because they didn't just say a car, they said a damaged car. It's so specific. So was that damage caused with this incident, or was that damage because somebody saw a damaged car leave?
But both Damien and Valentine Smith believe the role of a vehicle is more likely to remove Samantha's body from the scene.
I note that it's a 7.5K mark, turnaround point. I would be very surprised if it didn't take place on or very close to a roadway, which would indicate a vehicle, and that she's been removed by at least, obviously, one person, and that there'll be more than that one person that knows what's happened.
As we've revealed, the area where Samantha was taken is also pitted with thousands of old mine shafts. Any one of them could be hiding her body.
If Samantha Murphy is in a mine shaft in this region, what are the chances of finding her?
Probably Buckley's a nun.
Police have said all aspects of Samantha Murphy's life are being examined, including, we believe, the car repair business she and her husband Mick own. And all theories are on the table.
We're looking at absolutely every avenue of inquiry, and we will continue to do so until we find some answers.
Our experts agree this case could well be cracked by the public, and police have received over 500 tips so far. Just one of those could provide the final clue investigators need.
Sissy, you're from this community. All of this is grim, but a resolution is important for our community, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think that in terms of having a position on what could or couldn't have happened to Sam, I'm in no position to, to have a strong one in that, but I am in a position to hold hope. I think where there's a community that's driven by hope, there's still hope out there to bring Samantha home, whether it be a resolution.
Yeah, anyway, sorry, don't matter.
And that's, not something that we would love, but a resolution that finds, peace in our hearts and allows for healing. But I still, I still hold hope, and so does the majority of the Ballarat community.
Damien Merritt agrees, but he's seen hope dashed in too many cases, and he fears with the weeks that have passed, Samantha Murphy's fate has already been sealed.
I think we're looking at a homicide that occurred, sadly, on the 4th of February.
Oh, don't beat around the bush. Say straight off, I think we're dealing with a homicide. Just go straight to the point. There's all of us trying to keep some hope. I've still got my candle lit. I'll be blowing it out when I go to bed just for safety's sake. But I'll be lighting it again in the morning. But really, I suppose at the end of the day, he's just being realistic. It looks, when somebody disappears for this length of time, it's not unheard of for them to be found safe and well if they have been kidnapped, but it is unusual, isn't it? So.
And I think through the data, police have a very good idea of exactly what happened.
And how important is it to find a body?
Very important to find a body. It's always important, and it's important for the prosecution case, but it's also more important for the family to be able to, get some closure. That little hope of, they might still be alive is like torture.
Yes.
So to have closure by farewelling.
That's sort of interesting hearing him say it like that sort of hope that they're still alive is like torture as well. So I suppose it is. Because it's just awful, isn't it? Because of course you'd like to think they're alive, but then if they're alive, what are they going through? That's the other thing that'd be in your head. So if they're alive, but they've been kidnapped, you'd be imagining all sorts of terrible things happening to them. She being kept as a sex slave or something, or there's lots of different things that being alive might not be a good thing, depending on the circumstances. Especially as it goes on, as we've talked about with missing persons, some people, they go missing, they're never found, and their parents, their loved ones, they have to live with that, with no closure of knowing what's happened to them. And all right, okay, you've still got that little hope that they might still be alive somewhere, but yeah, what's happening to them? So difficult. He's very, he's just really telling it as it is, I suppose.
A loved one is, yeah, I mean, it's everything to that family.
Well, we're hoping tonight's investigation will assist police by prompting you, our viewers, to report anything you might know. If you have any information, something you've seen, something you might have heard that day, CCTV or dash cam footage, please call Crime Stoppers on 1800 333 000. Or you can contact us at underinvestigation@9.com.au. Thank you all very much for joining me tonight, and I thank you. I'm Liz Hayes. Good night.
Okay, so there you go. That's the programme. What did we think of it? Hi, Julie. What did we think of the programme itself? I think it was better than the Nicola Bulley documentary. I don't know what the purpose of that Nicola Bulley documentary was, you know, because it just didn't really say anything. But, you know, so I think it was okay. The no alien involvement. Oh, dear, don't. I have this theory about one of my little dogs. I think he's an alien because it's a sort of a joke. But this one of my dogs, my little Rocky, he was found outside a dog refuge when he was a puppy in a cardboard box. So he was in a cardboard box, just somebody had just put him there outside this dog refuge that my friend had. And so just appeared there, just him on his own, a little puppy. It's unusual for dogs to have only one puppy, isn't it? You know, so that was the first thing. It's like, and he was just there, just left there in a cardboard box with a little blanket. So someone obviously cared about him enough to put him there, like next to the dog refuge, knowing that in the morning he would be looked after. So that's where it came from. So we have no idea sort of who it was, where it came from, why it was just him, no other puppies, just him. And then when I took him to be chipped, when I took him to get him microchipped, the vet said, you know, they run like a beam thing over them to see if they've already got a chip or not. And it pinged. And he said, oh, he's already got a chip. And I said, well, he can't already have a chip because he was just a puppy, you know, when whoever it was abandoned him. Anyway, they got the number of this chip, and oh my God, it led to talk about an investigation because the vet said to me, this is not a Spanish chip. This is not a chip. This is not, you know, on any Spanish database. This number is not on any Spanish database. So we're going to have to write off to like, it's like Interpol for dogs. They had to write to the, you know, the European, when I say write, I mean an email, send an email to the European Centre of Chip Numbers for dogs to see if it came up on anybody's, you know, because they couldn't chip him with a new chip until they established that he didn't belong to anybody else. Oh, this went on for weeks. Anyway, in the end, they couldn't find this chip number anywhere. And they decided that maybe it was a mistake on the scanner, you know, that they put over him and, you know, this number came. Oh, because then the next time when I went back, they couldn't find it again. They put the scanner over him again and nothing came up. It was just nothing I ever do is simple. Anyway, in the end, he's got his Spanish chip now, and he's got a chip in there now, definitely. But that, so I've always said ever since, just jokingly, I think he was dropped off by aliens. He was dropped off by a spaceship there, especially for me, because joking apart, that dog, he, you know, they talk about you saving dogs, but that dog saved me because I was going through something at the time. And that little dog, he just changed my life really completely, because he was just so happy. So, you know, it just, when you look at dogs, especially puppies, because he's this crazy puppy, he was one of them crazy puppies. He just loved you know, he takes such pleasure in little things. When you watched, you know, we'd be walking down the road and a bit of paper would blow in front of him, and he'd be all excited and get all, you know, all happy about a bit of paper. And he just sort of taught me to sort of, you know, take pleasure in small things, really, because there was a lot of bad things going on at the time. And yeah, so I always say now he's my little alien dog, because the other thing, he's got these extra, dew claws at the back. He looks like he's got stirrups, because he's got 2 extra claws sticking out. And when he walks, he looks like a cowboy with like stirrups, not stirrups, spurs. Looks like a cowboy with spurs. So he's a special little dog. He's like my little alien dog. Anyway, just yeah, Ty, interpup. Yeah, he's like the ET of he's EP. Oh dear me. I do believe in UFOs. Yeah, I've talked about that. I need to do. You're right, Wendy. It'd be interesting to do a video on UFOs. You know, a specific video. I think I've sort of talked about them before a little bit, but I haven't done a. You want an alien stream? Well, there you go. Wendy's a member, so you get to get your request. I will do an alien stream, probably on Friday or something. Yeah, we'll do. It's just there's always some true crime going on, isn't there? But yeah, we will. We'll do an alien. We'll do an alien stream. I do believe in UFOs. I've seen a UFO. I think. Yeah, we'll all wear tin foil. Yeah, we'll have an alien. Because actually there's a lot of information about aliens now, isn't there? You know, even the American government have practically admitted, haven't they, that there are aliens. You know, you've only got to look up into the sky, really, and see how vast it is. How vast the sky is and the universe. There's got to be something. There's just got to be. So yeah, Charito, that is that what you're reading out there. That was that because of that documentary. That's what they're talking about. That's what they're talking about. That new clue team of experts have joined the search. That is that we've just watched. Because you know what, the MSN, the newspapers, etc. I mean, I'll just have one look. So I'm always looking to see if there's any news about Samantha. They do clickbait quite a lot. Yeah, kidnapped. New clue sparks hope. There's no clue. New car clue. But then when you go into it, there's nothing, you know, like nothing in particular. I mean, we can have a look at it actually while we're on. Let's see, it was 6 hours ago. Yeah, what they're talking about is that documentary that we've just watched. Yeah, there's a video about metal detectors, but we watched that. And it's just talking about that documentary, that's all. There's no new news, I'm afraid. They just try and get you to... there's a lot of clickbait from the mainstream media, you know. And then it's funny because there was somebody whinging at me on some Facebook group the other day. because I'd said something. And I said, well, that's the mainstream. I only really read out what I see on the mainstream media. I don't know, what's going on. I'm trying to think where it was. Oh, yeah, because on the mainstream media, on some news program, they'd said that the police had issued multiple search warrants. So this person's like having a whinge at me on Facebook saying, well, why are you saying there was multiple search warrants? And I said, well, that's what they said on the news program. I didn't just decide, I'm going to say there's multiple search warrants. That is what they said. And they're, mainstream media, they're supposed to know what they're talking about. So anyway, but there's a lot, the Daily Mail, you could look on it as the worst or the best, because at the end of the day, they're giving out information. At least people want to read things about Samantha. They want to know what's going on. I suppose that at least they're keeping people updated, but sometimes it is absolute tosh. And then other times you do get like some new information from them. So, oh, Mara, did you see that? Yeah, who the hell was that going on there saying, what was it? It was, and they made some comment. Why is the Murphy case dragging on? Or, do you know? I'm just so Facebooked out because you go on Facebook, people just say such silly things, and also sometimes you don't even know if they're real people anyway. So I'm trying not to get just trying to avoid Facebook at the moment, to be honest. But yeah. Yeah, why is the Murphy case dragging on so long? Well, for a start, it's the most stupid question because, well, it's dragging on so long because they haven't actually found out what's happened to her. It's not that long because it's only been 3 weeks. And the Murphy case, like, is it, how some people have got no respect. But anyway, there you go. Alana, nobody knows why that first Facebook group shut down. The lady who was running it, she decided to close it down. She said it had achieved its purpose, which of course it hadn't achieved its purpose because it was called Find Samantha Murphy. And, Samantha Murphy, unfortunately, has not been found. But maybe she just found it too much because there were 4,000 members, or was it? No, there were thousands and thousands of members in the end. And of course, you get a lot of hate. You do get a lot of hate, and so it takes a lot of monitoring. When you've got that many members, it's very time-consuming to try and monitor every message that somebody puts on there and make sure nobody's being disrespectful, etc. Maybe she just found it too much, so I don't know. It was strange, yeah. It was strange, but that was a decision she made. These other groups have sprung up now, but they're probably finding similar things because people do go on and say disrespectful things, and to monitor everything that people say is difficult, especially when they grow into really big groups. And because you've always got to be aware that the family might be reading it, or somebody who knows them might. I've had comments on my channel from people who do know them. So I always try and be respectful. I hope I am. At the end of the day, it is, it's Vicky Marie chats, and we are chatting, and we do chat about different scenarios. But my thing is, I just hope it is nothing to do with Mick because of the kids, because of the kids. And it may not be, but I strongly believe, I honestly do believe the police think they know who did it. But it's interesting how they keep insisting on multiple people, don't they? It's more than one person. So we'll see. I don't know who Bung Siriboon is. Was that another case in Australia? Now, I just want to say, well, because I would definitely be showing it in a video. I'm just you know, when we've watched anything about Samantha, whenever the police are speaking, I think they've been very good, very respectful, very, you know, even though they're a bit hit and miss when they talk, you know, they go quiet for a while, don't they, and then suddenly come out and do a press conference. But watching that Karen woman, who's about Jesse and Luke, who've been murdered by that policeman Bo. That Karen woman, she's done another car crash interview I was watching earlier today. She needs to stay off the telly because she doesn't know. She just says the wrong thing all the time. I watched an interview earlier and it was just, I was just like, my jaw just dropped open. If she's feeling empathy, it's not coming over for Jesse and Luke. And what she said before in the previous interview of, you know, oh, well, you know, there are other cases, and I had a murder just yesterday and there were 7 murders last week, you know, just like consigning them into, well, they're just one of the many cases that I'm dealing with. You never say that, even if you think it, even if it's true, because, you know, and it is true in a way. I mean, there are always things happening, but and then quoting Taylor Swift, you know, just beyond me. I don't think she's going to last, you know, after this case. Just the way she's, you know, she keeps trying to do another interview to try and make herself look better because of the previous car crash interview she did, and then she looks even worse again. So she needs to stay off the telly, really. She's been on the telly left, right and centre. But anyway. Oh, do you think she's about to resign, Alana? Well, she should. Do you know who she reminds me of? Yeah, she's got no filter. She's just like, and it's all about her, and she's like the queen of, you know, how many people she's got working for her, and how all these things that she has to deal with and work with. Is that, you know, that's her job. That's her job. What's she moaning about it for? You know, just get on with it. And, you know, she didn't have to be the whatever she is, the chief constable or equivalent. You know who she reminds me of? If any of you that are British have seen this woman, this Karen, being interviewed, she reminds me of Cressida Dick. Do you remember? I mean, what an appropriate name she had. She was the same. She'd be interviewed and she just, like, over the Sarah Everard thing and all the arrests at the vigil, and, you know, the fact that it was a policeman that had done it. She just didn't cope with the press right, and she didn't come over as being sympathetic or empathetic. And it's quite worrying, really, because she is a woman. You know, Karen's a woman. You expect them to come over a little bit more empathetic, but it's totally the opposite. You know, so I don't. I'm sure they are empathetic, but then there's another part of me thinks, to get on, especially as a woman, because it's harder for a woman, of course, to get on in that sort of environment, in a male-dominated environment. So for a woman to get on in that environment, she's probably got to be pretty tough, hasn't she? You know, she's got to be, because any sign of weakness will be, like, you know, pounced upon. So I do think there have to be a certain type of person, but then they should just keep off the telly because they're not coming over very well. Yeah, thank God Cressida Dick's gone. Yeah, she was awful, and it's a shame because, you know, you want to see women in those positions. As a woman, you know, I want to see a woman in that position. It's great. You think, oh, great. But then they've got to be good, because if they're not good, then it looks even worse for women. But she did remind me of Cressida. I was just sort of a bit open-mouthed as I was watching her talk, and I thought, oh my God, just talk about, you think you can't say anything more crass, and then she said something more crass. Anyway, I will show that interview at some point. So anyway, I'm going. Now, tomorrow night is Members Live. So I'm looking forward to that. And we're going to be talking about some conspiracy theories. And we're going to be talking, I'm going to show the video that I made, which was the dream that I had about Samantha. And you know, I did a video about it, and I didn't want it because I didn't want to talk about it at the time, because at the time the police were not saying that they thought foul play had happened to Samantha, but I think that the dream I had sort of is borne out. And I'm not saying this is what's happened, but I just thought it'd be interesting to play it. And yeah, that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow. Well, you have to join, Alana. You have to join as a member. Because, you know, we do have the members' lives. We can always, you know, because I've got to be aware of who's watching, you know, because if the family do, I'm sure they're not going to join my channel. So if they're watching, you know, I've just got, you know, I don't want to show this video on the public live. Well, I didn't get the. You said you dreamt that she was drugged. I didn't dream that, so that's all I can say, really. But okay, so I may see you in the morning if there's any developments. We keep hoping for developments, don't we? You know, every day you never know. It could just be bump and it happens that she's found or something. You know, the police come out with more information. So remember to live and love wisely, carefully. And as always, I will see you very soon in the next video. And until I see you again, may your God go with you. And thank you so much for joining me tonight. Thank you. Bye.